Hi, welcome to Craft Little Things. I'm Andrea and today I'm going to show you how to make this cute little box. This box is made for some bath fizzers that I've made and they've all got natural flavours. This one was for peach oil and I thought this one is a green tea. It's green tea and mint actually. It smells delicious. So I thought I'd do a green box, but this one was for, like I said, a peach oil, and this is in the Grapefruit Grove. So I'm just going to remake this. It's got a little embossed large polka dot window, and it's just really cute. It's just covered in the 2018-20 DSP, the stripy one. So for this, all you need, you don't need a lot, all you need is a piece of 7.5 by 10.5 cardstock. Like I said, I'm using the Call Me Clover here. So 10.5 is 26.7 centimetres and 7.5 is 19 centimetres. Then I've just got four little strips, four little squares of 2 3/8 square DSP. I haven't put one on the back, and the reason I did that was just because I didn't want to use two pieces. This comes in 6 by 6, and I didn't want to use two pieces to make one box. So I just thought it doesn't matter if there's one on the back. On the back you can put your label and the contents and things anyway. So I just used 4 of those. So as I said, that's 2 3/8 square, which is 6 centimetres square. Then I've got just about the same size, I've got a piece of vellum, and I'll just pop this through an embossing folder through the Big Shot, and I've used this large polka dot folder. Now there is a large polka dot folder, this is from Stampin' Up, as you can see, and there is a large polka dot folder. What's that on the back there? There is a large polka dot folder in the Stampin' Up catalogue. However, I was under the impression that this had retired, so whether I just imagined it or whether it's a slightly different one, I don't know if the polka dots are slightly further apart or anything, I don't know, or whether it was in one of the seasonal catalogues, and I seem to have a feeling it was in a Christmas catalogue, autumn-winter catalogue, whether it was in a seasonal catalogue and it came into the main catalogue, I don't know, and whether I was just mistaken. But there is definitely a large polka dot one. Whether it's exactly the same, I don't know. Anyway, I just ran some vellum through the Big Shot for that, just to give that little window a little bit of interest. The bath fizzers that I've made are little heart shapes actually. They're not circles, but if they were circles or if it was just one big bath bomb, then that would be great for that. And then the last thing you need is just the little bits and bobs that you're going to cut out of here. A little tiny scrap of Whisper White for your little circle there, and a vellum band, which is just 11 3/4 by just over 3/4. It's a cut off actually from making an 11.5 centimetre piece, I think, or a 7.5 centimetre piece. So this is, what did I say? 11 3/4, that's 30 centimetres by about 3/4, so that's about 4.5 centimetres. Now the other things you'll need is I used a 1 3/4 inch punch, and I also used a 1 1/4 inch punch just for the sentiment, and the sentiment itself came from hand delivered set, and I just used the thank you here. So I'm going to do that again. I'm just going to find my scrap piece of Whisper White to do that with. It's not exactly a scrap piece, but I do use this for little sentiments and stuff to punch out. So I'm going to use the thank you. I'm just going to mount it on a block before I do anything else. Then I've got all my pieces ready. And I'm just going to still see it's got a bit of Grapefruit Grove in it. And I'm just going to use a bit of Call Me Clover. I am getting better at using these these inks now, but I'm still finding a little bit of trouble with getting ink on myself when I try to close them. But I'm getting better at it. I think some of them, they're just a bit stiff because they're new, so they just need a little bit of use, and then it gets easier. Put my stamp away because I've had a few stamps lately go missing. I have found them again, thankfully. I'm just going to punch that out using a circle punch. There we go. Right, now put my piece of white away. Right, so one of the things we need to remember to do is to cut the circle out of the paper and the cardstock. But as you can see, I used the cardstock circle there and then laid the paper onto it. So I don't want to do it as one full piece. So I wanted to do it as two pieces that are not stuck together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to score my board and then I'm going to just cut that out, okay, rather than cut it out from a new piece. So you want to score at 2.5, at 5, at 7.5 and at 10, okay. So that's 6.4, 12.7 centimetres, 19 centimetres. Let me start that again. That's half an inch. I'll start again. You want to score at 2.5 inches, which is 6.4 centimetres, 5 inches, which is 12.7 centimetres, 7.5 inches, which is 19 centimetres, and 10 inches, which is 25.4 centimetres. And then you want to turn onto the short side and you want to score at 2.5, which is 6.4 centimetres, and you want to score at 5, which is 12.7 centimetres. Now at this top end where you've got your thin strip, see where you've got your thin strip marked off, what you want to do is at 2, you just want to mark down to this second horizontal. That's your first horizontal score line, this is your second, and you want to do it again at 5.5, just down to that second horizontal, okay. And now the front of your box is going to be this, because it's going to come up like so. That's going to be a bottom, that's going to be front, that's going to be a back, these are going to be your sides, and this is going to be a lid. So this one is the one where you need the circle punching out. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this onto here, but I'm only going to glue it very, very lightly in the corners. Okay. I'm going to put the glue around the edges. And then I can take my hole punch and I can punch. What I do is I make sure I've got the same amount of space either side. And I'll just punch through both together. It doesn't matter if it's not an exact science, doesn't matter if it's exact, but now I've got my two pieces separate there, okay, and that's sufficiently glued down. And then what I do is I take my little backing. It's a little bit too big, so I'm just going to trim off little sides like that. Oops, that wasn't very straight, was it? And what I'm going to do is pop some glue, and pop your glue on the front side, don't pop it on the wrong side. Depends if you want it to look like it's embossed or debossed, standing out or being pressed back. And then just pop that onto the back there. And that'll just save you a lot of hassle later. Okay? Right, so that's that. You can wait till the end to do all that if you want to. It's entirely up to you. And you can put a bit more glue on if you want to, but I'm not going to bother. Right then, so now we're going to cut. So this whole chunk here, this piece and this piece can go on both sides. So cut down this additional score line to that second horizontal and then just cut that out. These are nice sized pieces for little sentiments and things, so don't throw them away. Okay, and then I've probably just I've done that a bit. You just want to release these flaps, so just cut in this little piece here, just cut into that first score line you come to, just so they're released. Okay, and then just cut away the little squares in the corners to make your lid, because your lid's going to push inside. Okay, there we go. And then I'm just going to notch these in just so that they're easier to push into the box when it comes to closing it. I'm not doing massive notches, just try and get them the same on each side just so that they look better. Okay. And now what you want to do is, I think it's time now to just burnish your score lines. So I'm just going to do that. Burnish all my score lines. You've also got the bottom if you want to put your ingredients on, or any manufacturer's label or any warnings, things like that, if you are packaging homemade products. Okay. And now the last thing we do is we cut up these outside lines to that first horizontal. This is going to be our front, so I'm not going to notch that in, but I am going to notch in the sides quite a bit just to get rid of some bulk. So I'm just going to cut it up those lines to that horizontal across there. And then I'm just going to notch in to get rid of some bulk on the sides. Okay. Now, if you wanted to, you can put your panels on now, and that's what I'm going to do, because I'm not going to change my design. So my panels are just going on there. If you want to, you can put them in more places. You can use a different side. This green Call Me Clover small polka dot, I think that's going to be great for doing Christmas projects, because it looks very much like snow, and green's a very festive colour. So I won't be surprised if we don't see that on a lot of Christmas cards and things. I'll probably do some tutorials, well I won't probably, I will do some tutorials which use non-Christmas products to make Christmassy themed projects, because sometimes you feel like you've got to rush out and buy a load of new stash for Christmas, and you might have stuff that lying around that isn't Christmas themed, or you might not have lots of Christmas things to make, you just want to make a few, but you don't want to end up with tons of stash left over. Right, so this is going to come up last. You always do your front last so you get a nice clean line at the side. So these are going to come on the inside then, or you can create the sort of sandwich effect like that, so that that's coming up nice and tidy afterwards, but it creates a nice sturdy box. So I'm going to do the sort of sandwich effect, because then you get that nice neat line inside, because they come up inside. So I'm going to just pop my glue on the inside of these two flaps that I've notched in. Okay, and then I'm going to lift my inside up and just stick it down. My back flap up and stick it down. I'm just going to push that down with my bone folder, even though it's going to be pushed down again when the front goes up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue on the inside of the front two flaps. Get that glue right to the edge. And then I'm going to fold it up, wrap those around. By not notching them in, it keeps that squareness of your box and makes it much easier to keep it a nice square cubey shape. And then that will come down and slot in for our lid, and that's it. And so then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my piece of vellum and I'm going to make it join on the top, and then we'll cover the join with the sentiment. So I'm just going to bring that up, I'm just going to squeeze it and squeeze it, pinch it where it needs to be. I can't even remember, oh that's the top. Such a good fit, that. Pinch it and pinch it. Okay. Oops, I pushed my lid in. Of course there's nothing in the box, so there's nothing to stop it from pushing in at the moment. And then I'm just going to burnish where I've pinched those little folds, just to make it nice and smart, and to make that come off, slide off and on really well. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop it back on the box. It's just, I mean, there's no need to have this, but it's just, for me, it's almost like when I put my things in, when I put these bands on, I know that's it. I know the product's been examined, it's been weighed, it's been measured, and it's almost like a little quality seal for me. And even though it does slide off, it is still a little bit like it shows that nobody else, you know, for me it's sort of just a little bit as close as I can get to showing that nobody else has used it, that it's a brand new product. Okay. Now what I'll do is the first little disc, the Call Me Clover disc, I just pop some glue down the middle of that, and then I'll just line that up with the vellum and just stick that on. And then that just covers up that join there, so it looks nice. Okay, of course when it's full of product you can press that on a little bit better. And then for the other two, I've finished my glue now. For the other two I just use dimensionals. You can use small dimensionals or big dimensionals, it's entirely up to you. They're small ones, just grab some big ones. Got all bits and bobs at the side here. So just ignore that, pretend you can't see it. I'm just going to pop, just for the little bit of difference, I've just turned it around so we've got the spotty side on the top, just as a bit of contrast. You can't see it very well, but it just makes the whole thing a little bit more finished. And you're cutting them out of each box, so you may as well use them. And there we go, and that is the end. So instead of using up ribbon or whatever, there's just these strips of vellum, and I mean you can get sort of 8 strips out of one sheet of vellum. So you know, and they're just nice. They're nice little bands to put around the middle. So there we have it. and just that getting over that punching out the middle bit as well. They're so pretty, look at them, so cute. So I hope you enjoyed that, and see you again very soon for another video. Bye bye.